Bonjour, my wonderful friend Scott, in bed with me, and now we have a third person joining us in bed. Who's that?
That's Hammy.
Oh,
Hammy the hamster.
Hammy the hamster. Scott Wildeman, a friend of mine from out west in Alberta, in Canada, who is working much harder than he is looking tired right now. But I do like the facial hair going on and everything that's going on over there, Scott. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm growing my playoff beard, so since
Yeah?
there's no playoffs, I decided to just bring the playoffs to the house.
Does that mean you'll never shave, or it'll be 2021 by the time you
Uh,
shave it?
when the clubs open up again, I'll shave it off.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that'll be a wonderful celebration to have at that time. So you have been working your, you know what, off, both as the leader of Gym Movement as well as the president of the board of FIC. And I'd love to get into some of that because I've been so curious about what you've done and to stay connected and to stay serving both your staff and your members. And you guys have done something that you were meant to do, I think, in 2021, but you did in just a few short weeks to be able to do that. And I'm so glad that you're generous enough to share this with us today. So tell us about what Gym Movement has launched since the clubs have closed.
Yeah. So like I said, we were always looking to offer a digital platform, online training and on-demand classes. If you look at Peloton as an example, they've grown immensely. So there's definitely a need in the community for on-demand type of programming. And we always thought Peloton and Echelon were fairly one-dimensional with the cycling.
Mm.
So we always wanted to do this ourselves. And so when COVID happened and we were all forced to close, we decided we needed to pivot, and we wanted to make sure that we had options that were exciting for members, exciting for staff,
Mm.
and a reason for people to continue supporting their local Alberta-based business. So we are a regional organization. We are out of Alberta, and we want to support our communities and our employees, and we needed to make sure that we could still have as many people working as possible. Unfortunately, we weren't able to keep everybody working, but as we grow the program, we can bring more and more people back from layoff and get them back to work. So I'm really proud of the team I work with. We got a great leadership team and a great group of managers, and everybody worked really hard doing outreach to our members and inviting them to join the service. And it's going better than I thought it would go, actually. So it's
Yeah.
very inspiring, actually.
It's funny how sometimes, times of crisis, you just create much faster than you normally do. And I think what's beautiful about this time is nobody really expects perfection. And so it's a great time to try some stuff. There's a lot of forgiveness for learning along the way. And I think everybody's really compassionate about that. But was this intention of yours to go virtual a bit of like the best kept secret at Gym Movement, or did your staff know that it was going to happen and they just had to accelerate what was going on?
They knew it was going to happen.
Okay.
So we've invested immensely in our technology as we created this brand. We want to be a very connected culture. So connect, obviously, person to person. We excel at personal training and small team training. We have very robust group fitness offerings. But we always knew that there was we wanted to stay connected with our members even outside of our walls. And so it was always something we wanted to do. And, the members have been very receptive about it. So,
Yeah. And you mentioned that your managers have been on board from what you and I've been talking about. And I have the pleasure, thanks to the FIC calls, of hearing your voice and hearing some what you do every week. But you've been calling the members from the beginning and kind of happy because they're home and they're actually picking up the phone and you're able to assess their needs and be able to meet them, right?
yeah, it's been actually very interesting dichotomy, because when, pre-COVID, you would phone people and people wouldn't answer the phone, right? So you text them and ask what a good time is for them to actually answer the phone. And now you phone people, and I would say 60 to 75% of people actually answer the phone, and a conversation is 20 minutes long, and it's in
Yeah.
depth. And I think as this period of isolation goes on, and we're probably in it for another 6 weeks at least, people really need and value that human connection. So
Mm.
whether it's a FaceTime or a video call like we're doing right now, or a phone call, it's just that other human being on the other end is so powerful, and you just don't get that with text or email. Uh,
No.
and I think people are craving it right now.
And how are you able to, in this, like speaking of other things that we rarely do, like this, training our staff and engaging them in things is something we rarely do virtually. We're such a, especially known as a hands-on industry, an experiential industry. We're used to that face-to-face. How have you been able to connect with your staff and train them to relate to this new way of doing it? And essentially, I think taking away the fear and the weirdness that everybody feels, fitness professionals in particular. So as a leader, what are you guys communicating in terms of the, it's going to be okay, and how we're going to take care of them through this?
Well, I think through Zoom. So how do we train our staff? It's actually been through this exact platform.
Okay.
And I can show my screen, and I can share my screen and show how to use the app and how to create the programs and all that kind of stuff. And then I can actually get them to try and share their screen. So, and there's the learning happens through repetition. It is
Yeah.
a different world, but it is the same job. So that's the other
Mm.
thing is, as a trainer, you still connect with people. You still provide programming. You still inspire them. It's just the delivery is a little bit different, but it is still the same job.
Mm.
And, my other half is a teacher, and she's still teaching classes. She's
Mm.
teaching a class right now, actually. Right. So the whole world's had to adapt. And, I think a lot of trainers are really extroverted in nature, and they really love the connection with other people. And that was suddenly taken away from them.
Yeah.
And, you know, you feel for that, right?
Mm.
Like my emotional connection feeding off other people was ripped away.
Mm.
And now we're finding that in a medium like this, it's not perfect, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And we've done team training sessions, we've done boot camps, we've done personal training sessions through Zoom. And I don't know what the Zoom stock price is, but they increased their subscribers, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
it's really it's a good tool, and it's working well. My oldest daughter had a birthday last month. We did her birthday party on Zoom. We played
Yeah.
charades. It's you do the best you can. Obviously, we all want to get back into the clubs, but this is a good solution for now.
And it's an interesting time. Like there's a weird dichotomy I find, because most people rely on their fitness leaders and professionals to be the source of positivity and motivation and forward thinking and prevention and all of that. Yet at the same time, there's trepidation and fear that we just can't do. There's some, I've heard a lot of fitness professionals say, I don't know how to do that. I just can't, it's hard for me to do that. What are you saying to your coaches and trainers and instructors that are like, but Scott, it's just not going to be the same. I don't know if I can do it. Been the message that's been the most successful with them?
Remember when you first graduated or you first got certified and you were on the fitness floor or teaching your first class, and you had those nerves and that trepidation, and you probably said the exact same thing. I just don't know if I can do this.
Mm.
It's the same thing. It's a skill. It's new, but you have the talent, right? You just might not have the skill yet to actually know how to use the computer and all the intricacies of Zoom or whatever app you're using.
Yeah.
But you can learn that. You're pretty smart. And give yourself some credit. So it's a new skill, but you have the talent to connect with that human being. You still have the talent to teach the class. You still have the talent to train the client, to provide that program, to provide that training session, to inspire. It's just a different way of delivery.
And it's wonderful that you're doing that. Like I always, when I talk about growth, I talk about the stages of growth, and learning is one of them, but safety to try is such a critical one. And so if as a leader, you're providing that safety for them, I know that it makes a big, big difference. And I hope that other leaders and club operators and managers who are listening see that piece of it, which is tough because even for you, there's tons of uncertainty. It's anxiety, it's crisis, it's all of these things, but that's where the cream rises to the top, I find, in terms of leaders, to be like, I can still reassure them, and we're in this together. So on behalf of fitness professionals, I'm grateful that you're doing that, and providing those things there. If there's other club owners and operators that are still really hesitant about going towards a virtual offer, what would be your tips, or what would be your recommendations looking forward in what 2020 and 2021 are going to be?
Well, I think you have to. I just don't
Okay.
see how anybody's going to be able to, like, the new normal is going to be different, right? So when we're open, I think first of all, clients really like this service. So I've been asked many times
Mm,
by our members, are you keeping this after you open? Because I actually like this.
mm,
And time has always been the number one barrier to activity,
mm,
right? I don't have enough time, and it's because they're busy. So what they're really saying is, I can't make my 6 o'clock Zumba class because I'm late at work. So, now I feel like I just got to go home and forget it. Well, if you have that online offer, they can come and take that class, maybe once or twice a week. And then the other days they can go home and do their virtual workout.
mm,
So I think it's going to be a blend. And,
mm.
if you're not pivoting and you're just waiting for this to blow over, I think there's going to be I think the world's going to be a lot different moving
Mm.
forward. So,
And so looking into those little pieces of growth and just taking your time, like you said, it's a new skill, being patient with ourselves to grow into that. Shifting gears a little bit to your president role with FIC's board of directors. And so Fitness Industry Council of Canada has been so invaluable during all of this to keep the lines of communication open, and be able to bring those best practices together and bring everybody together. What would you like the Canadian fitness industry to know about FIC's focus over the coming weeks that could be really, really meaningful to them?
well, our mandate has always been to progress the industry, to preserve the industry, to protect the industry. So whether it's been lobbying for tax credits, lobbying for tax incentives to work with registered exercise professionals, fighting for fair music tariffs, we try to make sure the industry is in good health. And now with COVID, we've engaged a lobbyist, a lobby firm, and they've been very active. So I believe FIC, we were integral in getting the rent relief pushed through.
Mm,
It hasn't become law yet. They're still debating it, but I actually do think our efforts helped push that. And we are small but mighty, and we can make a lot of noise if we work together. So in the coming weeks, obviously, we are looking at making sure that our facilities have some sort of rent relief. We're also making sure as we reopen, we have our voices heard.
mm,
So, for example, in Alberta, we received the reopening strategy yesterday, and they're categorizing gyms in the same category as nightclubs and concerts and sporting events.
mm,
And we think that's miscast because a nightclub, I don't think you go to a nightclub to social distance. In fact, you go there to do the opposite of that.
mm,
And health clubs, we have great systems in place to actually control the experience in a facility. So when you think about it, we have technology to actually book an exercise time. We have the ability to space our equipment. We have the ability to limit the number of people in any given room at any given
mhm,
time. Our sanitization and cleaning protocols, I think, are very well practiced. Honestly, in the week right before we had to close, I think our fitness centers, our clubs, were some of the cleanest places in the city.
yeah.
Um, much cleaner than a grocery store.
Yeah. So we rehearsed it. It's robust already.
Yeah, so we already have a lot of the technology and a lot of the systems in place.
Mm.
So we are going to get our provincial councils. So one of the unique things about FIC is we have not only our board of directors, but our provincial councils, and we have representation from each province. That is consisted of, municipal rec centers, private health clubs, boutique studios, multi-club, single operators. So we have a really diverse group on each provincial council, and we will be creating our guidelines to present to the provincial governments on our reopening strategy. And I think that's important because, Natalie, you said it best. They don't want to come up with the rules. They want us to come up with the rules, and they review it and say, great, or great, but make these 3 revisions.
Yeah.
They're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I will say I'm very proud to be Canadian right now. I'm proud of our provincial and federal governments for what they've actually done. It's been quite impressive. But you got to also feel for those folks, because
So
they
much.
they are, we're working hard, but they're working really hard too. So, but I think that's our role here in the coming weeks is we want to make sure that they have confidence in our industry in reopening, which will then give consumers confidence in our industry as we reopen, because you got to suspect that customers are going to be a little bit nervous going back into facilities.
Understood. Yeah, for sure. And small and mighty, but fit and feisty. Along with that.
Punch above our weight. So
Yeah, and we have the biceps to prove it. Scott, to close off, tell me a little bit about, 2020 is not what we expected it to be. And I think it's really nice to, as somebody who's such a long-term leader in the industry, share what you use to stay grounded, to stay grateful, and motivated for 2020. So what would that be that we can grab a piece of?
It's the success stories. So when I hear of a client who loves our online platform, you're still making an impact in their life. When I hear that we had a member on the phone and they not only wanted to talk about their account, but they wanted to talk about their life, and it almost became a mini counseling session, that's a win. And it just reminds you why we're doing this.
Yeah.
We've always been in this industry because we want to help people. And now we are still helping people, but differently. From an employer standpoint, when I hear success stories of our staff who are embracing the technology and they're doing, pretty good, so they're still able to make an income and provide for their family, that's heartwarming. So it definitely is the successes along the way. There's been lots of challenges, right, and lots of stumbles, but there are successes. That's what keeps me going and keeps me driven. When I'm on the FIC calls and you see that we have 30 people from across the country coming together, and normally we're competitors by day, but this is, FIC is all about the industry. That inspires me to keep going. And then just on a personal level, I have 2 great kids. They mean the world to me. My fiance, it's family, it's getting outside, it's being active. So my exercise has actually dropped a little bit because it seems like I'm working more than normal, but still trying to get outside and be active with them is what really keeps me sane. So.
That's a really empowering message, and great reminders from all aspects of our lives and everything that we do to get those things. Because we're so on to the next one. We're in adaptation mode, and sometimes you're right. We forget to just, we're like, thanks for the feedback and move on, but really take a moment for that, because people are struggling right now. And if we can be that little bit of sunshine, just like your daughters are for you, and fitness can be for others, then that's a great reminder. Thank you so much, Scott. I wish you lots of good night's sleep. I wish you whatever it takes for you to go get through this, because you are leading our industry right now. And I can only imagine the weight that is constantly put onto you as a leader of your family, your business, your staff, and FIC. And so thank you for everything that you do. And on behalf of all Canadians, we've got your back, and we'll keep supporting you throughout all of this.
I appreciate that. I'll just give a shout out to the folks that we work with. I think Tricia Sarker, she's our executive director for FIC. She does most of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Our board members, our provincial council members, it's definitely a team.
Yeah.
And then at Gym Movement, our leadership team, our president, my colleagues, the other VPs, our directors, our managers. It's been inspiring actually to see everybody come together to work hard. So
Nice.
I'll take the thank you, but I'll also deflect a lot of credit.
Leading by example as always, Scott. Thank you so much, my friend. Best of luck to you, and we'll go check out Gym Movement online and see what you guys are up to. Maybe grab a workout sometime.
Sure, thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à toi.